Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? So, all the big conferences are out of the way for E3 this year. So there's been quite a few things that have caught my eye. So we're going to take a little look at some of those in just a moment. Fallout 76 I've already done a video on with a lot more detail on it than I would want to do in this one. So should be popping up on a card about now if you want to take a look at that. Expanding on that, there's a couple of things I said in that video that I would like to add to a little bit today that I've found out a little bit more since. So, big one, obviously the game's going to be online, and understandably there's a fair few concerns there. I'm not the biggest online multiplayer game player in the world, but I think I'm looking forward to it. And Bethesda have since said that if you want to avoid things like the PvP and the multiplayer for the most part you'll be able to do that. They certainly want to make sure people can't just come along and ruin your game, that sort of thing. That's been made very clear, so that's promising, I think. They've also been talking about sort of softcore survival as opposed to hardcore, so in a sense that'll probably make it more approachable and easy to get on with. One of the big things that I've picked up from E3 this year in particular is the prevalence, I suppose, of open world, shared world sort of games. There's been quite a lot of them, and it looks like they're going to be very, very prevalent over the next few years as well. So, I suspect Fallout 76 will actually be quite a good introduction to that. If there's something there that catches your eye that you might not play because of its shared world, Fallout 76 will probably be a nice way of easing yourself into that. Bethesda obviously know what their audience are like and what they do like and dislike, and they'll factor that into the way they construct the game at the same time as doing the online thing. So I think that's probably going to work out quite well. I say I'm actually quite looking forward to it all. The only exception really being the whole nuclear missile thing. That might be a bit... I'm still apprehensive about that one, but otherwise. The other thing that I forgot to mention, or rather want to adjust what I said about it, is that I said there wasn't going to be VAT in Fallout 76 because it didn't appear in the trailers and it wasn't mentioned at all. As it turns out, VAT is going to be a thing from the sound of things. It will be a little different, obviously, because with other players you won't be able to slow time because it just won't add up. So it'll be in real time, but it will help improve the aim, that sort of thing. So, on to the other stuff. So there's been quite a lot shown at E3, unsurprisingly. And there's a few things in particular I wanted to look at that have caught my eye. So I've got quite a sizable set of notes down here that I'm going to work through. So let's have a look. So some of the conferences have been better than others. One of the big ones that didn't actually have a vast amount in it, but not surprisingly to me in a way, was Ubisoft. If you're not really into the Assassin's Creed, which I'm not really anymore, then there wasn't a vast amount in there for me anyway. One thing that did catch my eye though was Skull and Bones. So that's another shared world game. We'll be hearing quite a lot of that, I suspect. It's a pirate game, so it's sort of Sea of Thieves but with less cartoony graphics, more sort of Sea of Thieves meets Assassin's Creed. You can team up with people, fight against them, fight against AI, NPC type enemies as well. Obviously you get your own ships and you get to upgrade those and fight in ship battles. From the look of things you get to fight in sort of hand-to-hand combat as well, so that looks very interesting and very promising. I'm looking forward to seeing a bit more about that, maybe playing that. So all the nautical stuff, Age of Sail, that sort of thing has been a fascination of mine for quite some time, so this looks like it might be something I want to look into later. As to whether or not stuff's on the channel, we'll see. And that's one for 2019, I think is all we've got on a release date there, but there we go. So that's the big one from Ubisoft. So, looking at Xbox, a much larger presentation and a lot more in there that interested me, but obviously mostly it'll be stuff that crosses over to things like PlayStation and to PC as well. Not owning an Xbox and I have no plans to anytime soon either. The big announcement that everybody was wondering about was Cyberpunk 2077, which it's not a game I know a vast amount about, apart from its apparently a first-person cyberpunk RPG single player. So it's based on the Cyberpunk 2020, I believe the tabletop game's called, and that's turned into a big open world city-based video game. So that looks like it'll be cool. If you're interested in finding out a lot more about that, then Mad Queen Show would be the person to go and check out. She's got vast amounts on her channel about that. So, one thing that has caught my eye, of course, is that it's CD Projekt Red who produced The Witcher, and those games are absolutely awesome. So that bodes well for Cyberpunk. It might be worth a look, I think. Another big game from Xbox that the Xbox presentation anyway, that I was looking forward to is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I played the first one in the reboot, just Tomb Raider, a while back on PS4, I think, and I had an absolute blast with it and really enjoyed it. It was great. And I have yet to play Rise of the Tomb Raider, but that one hopefully I'll get to this summer. But Shadow of the Tomb Raider is the third one. It looks like most of the games, to be fair, EA this year, absolutely stunning. And it looks to be more of the same as well. So, single player, action game, a lot of fun, everything you'd expect from Tomb Raider. So, the gameplay was, from what I recall in the past, great fun, and if they're built on that, then it should be better than ever. It's got a lot of bow and arrow stuff in it, which seems to be coming back in a big way in games at the moment, which I'm very happy about, because that was definitely one of my most enjoyed parts about playing Tomb Raider. So yeah, I think that'll be a streaming option at some point this summer. So, the other big thing from Xbox presentation that I was interested in is Metro Exodus. I haven't yet finished Metro 2033 or Last Light, but Exodus is coming out next year, and it looks absolutely stunning yet again. It's the third one in the series, and rather than being just down in the metro tunnels, or predominantly down in the metro tunnels, this one's going to involve getting out of Moscow proper and exploring the surface much more. So that should be quite interesting. Same mutants and threat and everything, with this heavy Russian vibe, of course. But it looks absolutely brilliant. Obviously, it's a post-nuclear first-person shooter, so not a million miles away from Fallout, but also quite profoundly different at the same time, which I realise is a bit of a contradiction in terms, but still true nonetheless. So I definitely will have to crack on with the other Metro games, which I'll probably do on my time, to be honest. But yeah, that looks like it'll be a lot of fun. So, Sony were on the whole a bit of a letdown to me. There wasn't a great deal there that I was particularly interested in. However, the one that was a big one was The Last of Us 2. I ended up playing through the first one in a couple of days while I was house sitting for my mother, actually. And I had an absolute blast with it. It was a really good game. So, The Last of Us 2 follows Ellie rather than Joel, and we'll build on that. Don't know a vast amount about the story. I'd imagine there's more out there, but I don't know much. It looks the part, absolutely. It looks brilliant. The stealth looks great. Combat looks very free-flowing and very, very brutal. There's a lot been said about glorifying violence in the game, which is... it makes me wonder whether or not it's going to have a place on the channel, I have to admit. But it does look like a fantastic video game, so I'm looking forward to that. So, EA, they did slightly better. The two big announcements, one of them was that coming up Christmas 2019 will be Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Not the most successful announcement of a game ever, it was a sort of afterthought interview with a guy in the crowd kind of feel to it, but we do know the game will be set between episodes 3 and 4 in the Dark Times, and you play a Jedi, or from what I hear from the website, a Jedi Padawan who survived Order 66, and that's about all we know. Obviously it'd be action, sort of swinging lightsabers, that sort of deal, pretty much what you'd expect from a Star Wars game, so unlike a couple other movies lately, but it should be very, very cool, I think. Always up for more Star Wars anyway. So the other big game from EA that I am definitely interested in is the BioWare title Anthem. So that looks absolutely stunning and great fun. My first impression was somewhere between Mass Effect and Destiny, but set in a big primeval jungle type world, which looks very, very cool. You know, you've got power armor and you've got flying around. It's a shared world again, but it's got single player areas, which like the city that is your main base, I think, and then you can choose or to squad up with people or not. I don't think it's going to have PvP. There's nothing to indicate that yet. It would probably be separate to the main game if it does. But it looks like it'll be a lot of fun. It's very, very pretty. Very, very high action. One of my friends suggested that it reminded him of Monster Hunter, which is an interesting idea. I don't know a great deal about Monster Hunter, so I don't really know what to make of that, but maybe it'll mean something more to you guys. But yeah, you've got armoured exosuits. They're calling javelins, that you have a unique set of skills that allows you to pilot those. There's 4. Got a Ranger, which is a generalised one. Colossus, which is a massive heavy weapons platform, basically. The Interceptor is light and fast, as you can probably imagine. And the Storm is presumably elemental, kind of the closest thing you get to a wizard. And you can switch out between those, which will be a lot like class changing, I think. But so there's going to be an awful lot of customization, if I can get my words out, in there. So you'll be able to tweak the suit's functionalities, and you'll also be able to change the cosmetics of them as well to suit whatever you like. The game is apparently going to have a complete story, which is going to be kind of the foundation of it, and then with the multiplayer experience built around that, which is very cool. BioWare do story extremely well, and there's no way they were going to skip over that in this game either. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be absolutely awesome. Yeah, story will play out through sort of specific missions from the look of thing. General idea being protect the people of the city that is your base, Tarsus, I believe it's called, against an ancient enemy called the Dominion. So, yeah. It's not exactly what I would expect from BioWare, but on the other hand, I think it's looking cool. So, should be a lot of fun. And that brings us on to the last one, the big one, which is Bethesda. So I think when it comes down to it, I'm probably biased, admittedly, but Bethesda pulled off by far and away the best presentation at E3. It was huge and stunning and funny and entertaining, as well as being a great showcase for the game. So absolute 10 out of 10 for effort on that one. It was brilliant. So we've already talked about Fallout, and that's, yeah, as I say, that's in the other video. Obviously, I'm very excited for that. But the other stuff in there's a couple of things that particularly interested me. Rage 2 is something I'm very, very curious about. I've never played the first one, but based on what we've seen so far of Rage 2, it looks great fun. It's Avalanche and id Software, so that's basically chaos and big guns. So that's a good start. I definitely enjoyed Doom, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. It looks like there's going to be a lot of fun. Apparently set in a dystopian world following an asteroid impact, rather than the usual nuclear war staple, which is cool. And to my impression, it's going to be Mad Max meets Doom meets Prey. Sort of only little bits of Prey from the sound of it, but it should be good fun. I mean, I'm liking this. So it's been described as a seamless open world, and based on the trailers, I think it should live up to that. Switching quickly between what you're doing in one place and another, it looks very viable, jumping out of vehicles and straight into combat and moving through buildings and stuff. I assume it's also implying you won't notice any load screens, which would be rather cool. Interesting to see how they manage it, but it looks like it'll be a ton of fun, so definitely looking forward to getting my hands on that one. So the other thing is, in general, that you play the Last Ranger, whatever that means. Presumably some kind of peacekeeper or somebody who's generally trying to put down the bad guys. And it's very, very shooter-based. It's got vehicle combat. The prey element comes in powers. And so the combat looks like an interesting blend of your average shooter and Doom. Sort of somewhere between the two. So that should be fast-paced, high action, and a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for this one. yeah, the presentation was kind of amusing as well. Half the crowd seemed utterly stumped when Andrew WK played the song that I've had on all the promo so far. And Pete Hines made a very entertaining pass at Walmart Canada as well, which thoroughly deserved, but yeah, that made me chuckle quite a bit. So speaking of Doom, the other big sort of, I suppose it's an announcement, but a very, very small one, was there will be a new Doom Eternal, which is going to get a lot more details at QuakeCon in August, so I'll have to keep my eyes open for that, because I thoroughly enjoyed the last one. In general, the gist of it is more power, more demons, and hell on earth. That's what we've got so far. Which, to be fair, pretty much sums up Doom, but yeah, enjoyed the last one a lot, so looking forward to the next one. So, a couple of other things that were mentioned at Bethesda's conference. There's a couple of new games they've got lined up that are somewhat in the more distant future, but they're big things and they wanted to say this is what we're working on in the future. So the big one that's been rumoured for quite a few years but there hasn't been so much as a whisper about until now is Starfield, which has got its announcement. So we know it's going to be the first fully new IP in 25 years. It's interesting. Assume they'll go at that hell for leather, to be honest, because they won't want to muck that up. Not that they want to muck anything up, but you know. It's going to be a single-player sci-fi game, obviously with a setting somewhere in space. That's about all we know. We'll have to see the very brief trailer that you're looking at now. And Todd Howard did his interview the day after, and one of the things he was talking about was that Bethesda tend to overlap in the way they develop games. So they have sort of a pre-production phase, a production phase, and then the last cram before release, and then everything that follows release as well. So from what he said, Starfield is in the production phase, so not ready yet, not the final cram yet, but well underway, and at least the devs can play the game. So that's means it's probably in the next couple of years, I would imagine, which is very, very cool. Always good to see something new. So there are a couple of other things they announced as well that I'm going to skip over, that looked very, very cool. Go check out the conference, it's on their YouTube channel, well worth a look. But the other big one that they mentioned, which is even less information than we got for Starfield, is they have begun pre-production on The Elder Scrolls 6. Which obviously, given everything going on with Skyrim, everybody's been like, okay, when are we getting a new one? So that's the other big piece of news. We've got a little flyby over the surface of the landscape and the Elder Scrolls title theme, and that's about it so far. It's supposed to evoke what they're going for, but it's very, very, very early days from what Todd Howard said in his interview. So I shouldn't expect to see that before maybe 2021, 2022, which obviously means Fallout 5 won't be probably till the mid-2020s. But there we go. They're obviously going to commit a huge amount to Fallout 76 between now and then anyway, so that'll be our Fallout fix. And of course, Fallout 76 was the other big one. That's all the big stuff that really interested me. As I say, if you want to know more about Fallout 76, I've got the video that you can have a look at. I'll probably put a link in the description as well as the card, so do check that out. Beyond that, usual content coming fairly soon. I will hopefully try and get a live stream in at some point this week as well, sort of rebalancing onto my sort of new scheduling plans, so taking a little figuring out. There we go. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting. Still the stuff that really caught my eye. Obviously there's a lot more at E3 than just that, but that'll be doing for now. So thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, you know what to do by now. If you'd like to support the channel more directly, then do consider becoming a sponsor on YouTube Gaming. All the information is down in the description. And I will be speaking to you all very, very soon. Thank you very much.